On webinars, you can get to the bite-sized learning. There's there's a lot of what's coming up, but also some past things. They're up there for free for 2 weeks, but then you need to become a member to be able to see them. This is National Distance Learning Week, so we have had a session every single day this week, and it just happens to fall on the week we usually do our webinar series. So we are excited that y'all are here to join us for that. Our next 2 webinars is tomorrow. We want to hear from you writing proposals and presenting at conferences. That's going to be presented by our president-elect, Texas Reardon. And then on Friday, we have our Step Up and Lead with TxDLA. We would love to talk more about how you can get involved with TxDLA. And those are both from 9 to 10. Then we will go back to our once a month, monthly series on the second Wednesday. Wanted to also remind everyone that we do have our conference coming up in March and April. So our March is our in-person in Galveston. Our April is virtual. Game on, and we would love to see you there. And call for proposals are still open. And so we would encourage you to submit a proposal to come and join us. This is a Zoom meeting, as everyone knows. So we are recording. I think you saw that come up from Lisa. But we do encourage you that if you're not talking or something, go ahead and put yourself on mute so it doesn't interfere with our presenters. But I know that you can also open your chat just like I'm doing, or you can chat, but you can also unmute yourself if you have a question for our presenters. So definitely utilize those 2 possibilities if you need to. And no further ado. So let's get started. It's empowering career education in the age of AI, navigating challenges and collaboration. We have with us Justin Rose and Tony Parachini, and from Anthology. We would love to bring them up and let them get started.
Thanks so much, Rhonda. And thanks to everyone who is joining here today with the Texas Digital Learning Association. I'm Justin Rose. My colleague, Tony Parachini, will be joining us shortly. We're going to be talking about empowering career education in the age of AI. I serve as the Senior Director of Product Management for Data and Analytics at Anthology, which is the largest education technology ecosystem on a global scale. You may be familiar with some of our software as a service products that power higher education. And with me is, of course, Tony Parachini, who's our Senior Product Manager for Career Development. And I've just been reminded that I can come on video, so I'll do that. So hi, everyone. It's great to chat with you today. And as Rhonda mentioned earlier, if you have any questions or comments throughout our presentation, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the chat. Would also love for you to come off of mute to ask a question or to make a salient comment. Hopefully we can have an engaging conversation. Tony and I have certainly prepared enough to cover all of the hour that we have together today, but we welcome your input and questions, as this is, quite an emerging set of challenges and ideas. So speaking of which, when it comes to the topics that we hope to cover today, we are going to kind of try to frame the emerging challenges around artificial intelligence in the post-secondary space more broadly, also within the context of career education, more specifically, understanding some of the academic concerns or concerns related to the viability of academics, given novel innovation around AI-enabled technologies and applications, as well as some of the sort of discrete challenges related to workforce readiness that we are receiving as well. We'll talk about AI value in the learning environment. I think far too many conversations around AI, especially generative AI in recent months, sort of default to kind of the risk and concerns piece. We want to talk about and sort of hold space for thinking about ways in which AI is going to drive value for learners and for educators through enhancing curriculum and teaching, but also supporting the lifelong learning journey. We will, however, of course, consider some of those risks and ethical challenges that are at play, talk about how both education technology solution providers, but also importantly, individual campuses in their missional context can develop reliable, responsible, or what we at Anthology call trustworthy artificial intelligence, and how you might adapt frameworks for your own institutional context. From there, I'll kick it over to Tony for the rest of the presentation, and he'll talk to us about career readiness with AI in particular, specifically around the question of how institutions and technologies that are being leveraged by those institutions can extract learners' exposure to skills and competencies that are aligned to their vocation or to their workforce readiness needs, and how we can leverage AI to align learner pathways and career goals. So with that, we'll dive right into it, and I will stop sharing my video just for a bit so that I can have my notes handy here. I want to comment a bit about the rapid pace of innovation and development of new AI capabilities. We know that those are persisting with no signs of slowing in the near future. If you've been paying attention to kind of the domain of AI recently, you've seen news related to some really disruptive and substantial innovations from OpenAI and other AI companies, as well as kind of government organizations and entities beginning to weigh in with policy, as well as, of course, I think most famously recently, the executive order from the White House related to AI. So those of us who are responsible for digital learning or developing solutions that support digital learning are going to have to reckon with those challenges, as well as the associated opportunity spaces that are emerging as a result. These challenges appear, at least at high level, to be twofold in character from our vantage point. The first set of challenges has to do with the emerging ways in which learners and educators are increasingly engaging with AI and AI-enabled applications. And the second set relates to the nascent question of how learner acquisition of AI, and especially generative AI, both skills and competencies will be critical to workforce readiness, to gainful employment outcomes, and readiness to engage with a community and society increasingly formed by the force of AI and automation. We've recently seen some compelling data that supports the criticality of these emerging concerns in the higher education sector. Specifically, a recent study administered by Titan Partners, which was published in Inside Higher Ed just at the end of this last month, evinced some results that suggest that not only are college and university students using generative AI at high levels, which they are, but that they are perceived as so useful to them that even if institutional or faculty policies were put in place that prohibited their use, 75% of respondents to this representative survey asserted that they would still make use of those AI-enabled tools. So a little bit of pushback from learners relative to their own agency in the use of AI, despite policies that may be put into place. And so much for us to think about there relative to kind of dealing with some degree of inevitability. So while on the face of it, this may seem more like a cultural or social issue as much as it is a technological one, and I believe it certainly is. If we consider these findings through the lens of emerging techno-social trends in higher education, I think we'll appreciate that this is something that would not only be futile to attempt to suppress, but that we, both professionals and learners, would also benefit from a more curiosity-driven, growth mindset-based engagement with it. That is to say that if this is going to be an inevitable reality, the use of generative AI or AI more broadly, especially as it relates to composition or academic work, we have to find ways to add value in that space. Okay, in the same study, 75% of respondents who consider themselves to be regular AI users said that they believe students will need to know how to use generative AI in a professional setting in order to succeed. This, I think, evidences the substantive nature of that second set of challenges that I was speaking to around how learners must gain some essential skills and competencies in this domain as a matter of both contemporary and near future workforce readiness. And of course, this is not a critical requirement that learners should bear on their own, right? Institutions have a major opportunity to design, develop, and even layer generative AI skill building curriculum and co-curriculum into their academic programs and services. And of course, this is much easier said than done. I didn't speak to it in our introduction, but my background is in a campus setting as well, working in instructional design and technology, as well as institutional research. So I feel the pain of these emerging opportunities and challenges, and finding ways to viably make them a part of our programmatic offerings to learners. And in fact, in that vein, faculty and staff will themselves need to upskill in this area quickly in order to be able to provide such learning and development opportunities in an impactful way. We can't expect ourselves to be able to deliver types of skills related to the use of generative AI for professional purposes if we ourselves are not upskilling in that space. And so it's really kind of a twofold set of requirements. And, unfortunately, time is not on our side, right? This is a matter of getting ahead of the curve and not falling behind, not only, due to kind of where we are and what Gartner might call the hype cycle related to generative AI, but what we're beginning to see relative to the ubiquity of the use of generative AI on our campuses. So moving on from that study, I would contend that just as there are kind of two primary dimensions of challenges emerging around AI and AI-enabled technologies in higher education, there are also two lenses through which we should see opportunities to rise to this occasion and proactively lead our institutions and organizations to meet those challenges. One of those is related to risk and risk management, which I will speak about shortly. But just as important is how we construe and identify opportunities to leverage value coming from AI in both our physical and digital learning environments. So to that end, I want to briefly touch on a couple of value streams that we're beginning to perceive in this new age of generative AI, how we can enhance the curriculum and teaching, but also how we can better support the lifelong learning journey. So within this value stream of enhancing curriculum and teaching, there are three use cases that present a great deal of promise to learners and educators. There are probably a lot more than three, but there are three that come to mind for me, and things that we've been wrestling with at Anthology as we seek to develop solutions and products that drive value for learners and educators. One of those is the use of generative artificial intelligence as an instructional design efficiency tool. Anthology was proud to be the first edtech solution provider to market with such a tool, the AI design assistant, which can do things like recommend the structure of a course, along with titles for modules, descriptions, and even images based on course content, which we believe will free instructors up to do what they do best, which of course is to teach. AI-powered algorithms within this design assistant analyze a document's content and can quickly generate a diverse set of questions, which the instructor can review and edit to assess knowledge and understanding. We've also worked to standardize the rubric creation process with AI, which helps to ensure consistency and fairness in evaluating student performance, and importantly, in just a fraction of the time. So this AI design assistant provides, in addition to all of that, royalty-free image recommendations based on the context of a course or document. So you don't have to hunt for good visuals to make courses more engaging, and you don't have to worry about copyright infringement either. So that's just one example of how GAI can be used as an instructional design efficiency tool. But of course, we know that the whole universe of potential efficiencies for instructional design and for course content development aren't exhausted exclusively by our own products. And there are many other examples of ways that you can implement such tools in the context of your institution. The second use case I want to highlight involves using generative AI to assist instructors with the development of content, lesson planning, and even pedagogical techniques. One exciting example of this in action can be found in India, where teachers have worked with Microsoft Research to design and develop an AI tool for generating classroom content. It's called Shiksha. Shiksha Copilot is a research project which is an interdisciplinary collaboration between Microsoft Research India and teams across Microsoft. So Shiksha is a Sanskrit word which means instruction, lesson, learning, or study of skill. And their project aimed to improve learning outcomes and empower teachers to create comprehensive, age-appropriate lesson plans, combining the best available online resources, including textbooks, videos, classroom activities, and student assessment tools. And to help curate those resources, the project team built what is called a co-pilot, a term that you have probably heard of or become familiar with in recent months, which is an AI-powered digital assistant. And this centers around teachers' specific needs, which were identified through multiple interviews and workshops. So this AI co-pilot is essentially trained on data that is relevant to teachers' needs, instructors' needs in both physical and digital classroom environments. The third use case within this value stream of enhancing curriculum and teaching has to do with leveraging generative artificial intelligence as a personalized learning coach for students. This expression of technology in particular, I think, has been lifted up as exemplary of the intersection of AI-enabled applications and the promise of personalized learning, which is what we are all attempting to achieve in our own lived experiences. And there are a myriad of examples of this use case in action. And in fact, I would contend that chatbots as types of tutors have actually been in the field for a number of years before OpenAI famously released ChatGPT at the end of last year. But since the release of generative pre-trained transformers and other types of large language model enabled applications, this particular use case of a personalized learning coach that can dramatically increase access to one-on-one educational enhancement and learning support really taken off. And I think the field of education technology and instructional design and digital pedagogy has really yet to see that kind of fully come to maturation. But there are definitely some early examples in the field of that type of technology, which you don't have to look very, very far to find. So I want to transition to the next sort of value stream relative to applying AI broadly, but generative AI maybe specifically as well in the context of supporting the lifelong learning journey. So in particular, the first use case within that stream has to do with using AI-enabled technologies to create what we at Anthology call intelligent experiences for academic advisors. We believe that one of the greatest obstacles to providing personalized, proactive support to learners in all variety of post-secondary educational contexts, especially within advising, is the lack of access to timely, reliable, and actionable data. And that obstacle is largely represented by what we might call like a black box of in-progress academic performance engagement data that's typically in the LMS, unless an institution has worked creatively or invested significant resources in pushing that data directly in front of the lived experience of advisors in the virtual spaces where they get their work done. It can be extremely difficult for them to have access to any type of academic performance data besides what's available historically in the student information system in terms of historical records. But in progress academic performance engagement data is very difficult to come by. But I think it goes beyond that. In addition to that, the challenge of making sense of that data. If you can even get access to that data, it's largely descriptive. But being able to interpret it, that performance and engagement data in a way that makes sense and allows you to take quick data-informed action can also be a challenge. So at Anthology, we recently announced the imminent launch of an intelligent experience that opens up that black box and delivers timely information directly to advisors in the CRM. But we take that a step further and use machine learning, which is an expression of AI, not generative AI, but sometimes called discriminative AI, to compute engagement scores to help faculty and advisors understand which of their advisees are in the greatest need of intervention during the academic term. I want to be clear that although Anthology is delivering this intelligent experience specifically to our clients, and it's something that we're very excited about, this is a use case for AI and for advanced analytics writ large that I think any institution can work towards delivering, should strive to do, because advisors are really up against it, as it were, when it comes to caseloads. I'm actually married to somebody who is an academic advisor at a university, and she has about 600 advisees in her caseload. And I know that in some institutional contexts, advisors have even more advisees that we're responsible for. It's almost impossible to have the information you need in front of you in a timely and reliable and actionable fashion to assist advisees in real time. And so this is one of those use cases that I think is, as it is explored by education technology solution providers like Anthology, as well as others, and individual institutions, will have a lot of impact in that space. The second use case has to do with leveraging AI-enabled technologies to deliver personalized learning pathways, as well as automating course scheduling in student information systems. So if you're familiar at all or have worked in the context of a registrar's office or advising or in an instructional design, and of course in the context of digital learning, you know how tedious and onerous it is to construct viable, sustainable academic schedules for learners, and also construct schedules and course offerings in particular from term to term in ways that work for the majority of institutional stakeholders. We believe there's a massive opportunity here to leverage artificial intelligence and advanced analytics in order to automate those processes, to give visibility to learning pathways, as well as to automate the creation of intelligent schedules for learners and the staff that support them. And we at Anthology will have more to share on that in the near future, I believe. The third use case involves leveraging AI as a career readiness tool. There are quite a few salient examples of this in the higher education space, but also within the kind of workforce and training and development space writ large. So I won't go into detail there because when Tony takes over our presentation, he's going to go into much greater detail about opportunities around leveraging AI as a career readiness tool. So looking forward to that piece. But moving on, we've talked about value add. I want to talk a little bit about risk. Every new and powerful technology comes with risk. This is true for AI as well. Things like harmful bias, inaccurate output, lack of transparency and accountability, and AI that is not aligned to human values are just some of the risks that need to be managed to allow for the safe and responsible use of AI. We understand that we're responsible for managing these risks as an education technology solution provider, but also helping our clients to manage the risks on their campus. So the foundation for managing these risks is, of course, understanding what the risks are, the relevant risks in the first place. So I want to start with an overview of those key risks. So while mid to long-term risks over here in the right column, which kind of represent more of the extreme risks around AI, tend to get a lot of attention in the media, especially recently, and of course require that attention, I want to focus more on some of the tangible near-term risks for us and for your institutions in this session, which is over on the left side of the screen. Harmful bias is probably the most known AI risk. I mean, who among us hasn't heard about companies that used AI to sift through CVs and ended up with biased recommendations for men because their existing employee mix was predominantly male, right? And there are many other expressions of that type of truly harmful bias. And there are, of course, examples in education as well where concerns have been flagged regarding remote proctoring tools, right? Inaccuracy, on the other hand, is a new but very strong entry in this top risk list. Generative AI models are well known to produce made-up facts and references, and that's why we avoided high-stakes use case in generative AI and included a prompt for instructors in our functionalities that content requires review. So in that AI design assistant I mentioned earlier, there are prompts for instructors to make sure that they edit or vet the content that is being produced by AI systems for accuracy, because they are prone to hallucinations. And that is probably going to be a sticky problem for us for the foreseeable future. I don't have to talk about plagiarism and cheating. That will be one risk that you will be more than familiar with, but it is certainly one that will continue to afflict us both as organizations and institutions and finding ways to develop academic citizenry, right? Learners and educators who are committed to academic integrity, even as emerging and innovative technologies come into play that present significant temptations to abridgments of said integrity. Intellectual property right risks are a complex issue with many test cases making their way through courts. It raises a lot of tricky questions regarding what creativity is. Are the outputs of these generative AI systems copyrightable? What about training data, right? What can you as an institution do to protect you from any IP infringement claims? So this is very much in flux, but we understand this is an issue that we need to monitor and support. Microsoft, for example, provides information in their transparency notes for AI services relative to intellectual property. The issue of the black box, how to be transparent, but also where it matters, right? So one example of that would be like a spam filter, but where AI makes decisions that impact you. Then privacy, which of course is a special place on the list for companies like Anthology that are dedicated to privacy first and to secure technologies. There are questions about how personal data in training data used for AI systems can be legally used, but also how input data is used. Also alignment and safety risks. So that can obviously be a challenge for when it comes to, outputs from generative AI that are not aligned to our values as, higher education stakeholders. And of course, safety for all of our campus constituents. Third-party risk is a bit of a catch-all category, but it just emphasizes the point that as AI as a service becomes more prevalent, that you as institutional leaders, technology leaders, organizational leaders, and even we as a service provider will have to rely on due diligence and contractual commitments of these large technology companies that are providing generative AI as a service to us. The vast majority of us are not going to develop our own large language models from scratch, nor build our own kind of residentially constructed AI systems without the support of major third parties. That's just the nature of our technology paradigm today. So there's significant risk there, and there has to be a number of controls in place to make sure we can mitigate those. So being mindful of these myriad known and still uncertain risks related to AI, Anthology developed a trustworthy AI program in order to mitigate those risks for ourselves and our clients. Importantly, as we developed this program, and I hope this is something that is useful for you, we didn't just develop this program in our own kind of legal ivory tower. We created a cross-functional working group that included representation from all of our product groups, from security, accessibility, IT, client experience, et cetera. And this group has been developing all of our documentation and effort collaboratively. We reviewed a number of existing frameworks that we consider to be somewhat like authoritative and representative, especially NIST's AI risk management framework. And note, NIST, NIST, is the body that was referenced in the recent White House executive order on AI as an entity that will provide education and standards around risk management. So we're glad that we aligned with NIST's framework. But ultimately, we established a set of principles that govern our approach to trustworthy AI. Some of those concepts are likely familiar to you. Fairness, minimizing harmful bias in AI systems. Reliability, which means taking measures to ensure the output of AI systems is valid and reliable. Humans in control, probably the most important of these principles, right? Ensuring humans ultimately make decisions that have legal or otherwise significant impact. Transparency and explainability, explaining to users when AI systems are used, how the AI systems work, and helping users interpret and appropriately use the output of those AI systems. Privacy, security, and safety. AI systems should be secure, safe, and privacy friendly. Value alignment. AI systems should be aligned to human values, in particular to those of our clients at Anthology, as well as their users, those of you who use our technologies, as well as other education technology providers. And accountability, ensuring that there is clear accountability regarding the trustworthy use of AI systems within our company, as well as between us and our clients and its providers of AI systems. As you can see on this slide, we didn't just commit to these principles that are on the right-hand side of the screen. We also established a robust program for trustworthy AI, which you can see on the left side, relating to governance, policy, training, auditing, and communication, to ensure that we actually put our words into action. And that is key, that we not only establish policies, but programs that can facilitate and execute those controls in order to mitigate those risks. So of course, trustworthy AI isn't exclusively for edtech solution providers like Anthology. In fact, arguably, it's even more crucial for individual post-secondary institutions to adapt and leverage their own programs to manage these emerging risks. So we've listed some strategies and concepts here that we believe will be fruitful for campuses seeking to ensure reliable, responsible, and ethical AI use in their respective contexts. Those include things like governance, accountability, academic integrity, visibility, communication, risk management, and vendor management. So I won't go into too much detail on this particular slide, but just to say that these are key categories to ensure that you are incorporating when developing your own program or set of policies in order to mitigate risks associated with artificial intelligence on your campus. So with that, I'd like to turn the mic over to my colleague, Tony Parachini, who is our Senior Product Manager for Career Development, who's going to take us further into the world of career readiness with AI.
Thanks, Justin, for the introduction. And hello, everybody. Good afternoon. It's good to be here with you. In this last section of our presentation, I'm going to tell a story about learner career readiness and highlight several key areas. I want to start with student sentiment around career readiness and technology. I'll talk about some of the ways that AI's catapult into the limelight this past year has impacted the labor market. We'll talk about ways that AI can help support a foundation of institutional offerings that are aligned with market demand, and then how we could extract learner skill exposure and ways we can leverage AI to align learner pathways and career goals. So in this webinar description, we make mention of a student's plea for future workforce readiness. So I wanted to start by sharing some of the feedback we're hearing with respect to student sentiment around career preparation. Last year, we conducted a nationally representative survey of current undergrad students with more than 1,100 respondents in the US to help us kind of validate their concerns related to career preparation. As part of this survey, we found that a majority of students reported that obtaining a job after graduation was a key factor in their decision to enroll in college, as are other factors for sure, right? But this kind of reinforced the age-old adage, right, that students are pursuing higher education in order to better their career chances. The survey also indicated that students are choosing majors based on how they align with their career goals. And in a related point, they indicated that we're attracted to colleges who offered career advising to them at the prospect phase compared to those who do not, right? So I think this point is quite interesting as it highlights prospective students' desires to have career-focused program selection and pathway conversations in those very early stages of their interaction with an institution. Students indicated that they want help mapping a path at their institution to gain the skills that they need for their career path. And we'll dive more into this focus on skills here in just a moment. And finally, they're interested in using an application that can help align their academic journey with their career goals. So with some 67% of respondents of the survey being in the 18 to 25 age bracket, not surprising that this was of interest, right? And this has kind of helped informed, at least as one, salient data point, our focus on delivering solutions in the career development space that can help a student define and move through this journey with their career goals in mind. So when you consider these insights along with those that were highlighted by Justin earlier with respect to learner interest in AI technologies, I think it points to two main themes. First, I think we need to consider ways that AI can be an assistant or co-pilot, right, if you will, to institutions in a manner that helps build the foundation of the opportunities for learners to journey through, right, that ultimately help with that alignment of the journey to their career goals. And then second, I think we need to consider ways in which AI can help the learners themselves to distill all the data that their institutions have about them, their goals, their achievements, and how we can adequately prepare future graduates with the skills and competencies that they need to be competitive in the labor market. So our labor market data partner, Lightcast, recently released data via a blog post, which highlights the increase in employer demand for job applicants with generative AI skills. In 2023, postings demanding skills in generative AI increased more than 1,800% year over year. According to Lightcast data in 2022, there were only 519 job postings calling for generative AI skills. And that number so far in 2023 has soared to more than 10,000. And again, we'll recall that the debut of ChatGPT was in December of 2022. So I think we're definitely seeing the impact of it and other similar technologies, right, that have had on the market this year. And generally, with respect to all forms of AI skills, not just generative AI, there have been more than 385,000 job postings across the country so far in 2023 of employers looking for applicants with these skills. So when we look at the roles that are most affected via the visualization on the right, we see most are within the tech industry and then jobs focused on building new AI applications, jobs that probably come to the forefront of the mind, like data scientists, machine learning engineers, software engineers, AI engineers, and product managers as well. But also towards the top of the list, there's a notable exception with job postings for curriculum writers, taking the number 3 spot. Only data scientists and machine learning engineers having more postings. So economists at Lightcast view this as a possible first sign of the second wave of AI, where the technology is starting to reshape jobs outside of just the tech industry, right? With Layla O'Kane specifically being quoted that the future of work is going to be defined by how humans work alongside AI, and this will be a key occupation to watch. So I think it's pretty amazing to see the job of curriculum writers standing out amongst a crowd of industry jobs. And I think it really makes salient the demand for ways that AI can be an assistant to the institution, and in more ways than just curriculum writings, right? We're thinking about ways AI can play an integral part of supporting learner career readiness. So we hear a lot of focus around skills in today's job market. And I think with good reason, as employers have struggled to obtain talent that they seek. And a general trend within the market we've seen emerging over the last few years is employers shifting away from listing specific degree requirements in job postings to focusing more on an applicant's skills and competencies. And relatively speaking, I'd say we're still in the early days, right? But the shift to a more skills-based hiring method is gaining momentum as employers are trying to improve on their ability to fill positions with applicants that have the skills and competencies that they're looking for. So for us in education, this shift arguably emphasizes the need to help learners capture their skills, right? And enable them to make their skills actionable in the eyes of potential employers. So we're looking closely at ways that AI tools can help assess a learner's skills and competencies. I think large language models and machine learning have certainly highlighted very real potential in this space to help learners understand their strengths, as well as areas of improvement needed in order to be best prepared to meet their career objectives, as well as AI playing a role in helping to surface educational pathways that align to skills that the learners still need, right, along their path towards meeting their career goals. Helping learners speak the language of skills in a way that's consumable and understandable in the market can be a complex coding endeavor, right? And it really starts with like our own ability and institutions' ability to kind of do the same. And it's not aided by the fact that there are any number of different skill listings and taxonomies that represent tens of thousands of individual skills, each that can have, nuanced meaning across different industries in the market, right? So, AI can help play a role in analyzing the skills embedded in curriculum, co-curricular activities, helping to identify skills already associated with courses and learning outcomes. And it can help sift through various skill taxonomies and create points of alignment with curricular and co-curricular offerings and conduct a gap analysis to identify when in-demand skills are missing from these offerings. From a curriculum alignment standpoint, AI could help institutions align course outcomes with industry needs by analyzing job market data, trends, and employer feedback that exists out there in this workforce analytics market data set. Right? We know the market's ever evolving and changing. New jobs and skills emerge while others decline. AI can play a role in assisting with academic program review to highlight skill gaps between current outcomes and relevant changes to employer skill demand in the market, helping to create a repeatable process that considers the evolving changes of the market so that your program offerings can evolve as needed as well. And all this AI assistance for the institution can really, in our eyes, help lay the foundation for helping to ensure students and learners are developing relevant skills and knowledge to meet current industry needs. When we think about an individual's holistic learning journey, right, that can include time spent gaining skills and competencies both before, during, and even after a student's time at an institution, right? So AI can help play a role in making sense of all of this achievement data, right, that's been compiled over a lengthy period of time. So we're considering ways in which AI can help play a role in prior learning assessment and reviewing transcripts for extraction of learned skills and highlighting opportunities for transfer credits. And considering prior learning and learners' pre-existing skill sets, AI could help make curricular and co-curricular pathway recommendations to learners that align to their career objectives and theoretically call out multiple pathway opportunities that their learner ultimately makes the decision on which one to choose to go down. Right? Micro-credentialing is an area in which the labor market is becoming increasingly responsive to the growing number of employers seeing micro-credentials as a means to assess an applicant's skills and competencies with more accuracy than traditional degree requirements. And even students are placing increased value on micro-credentials. In a recent joint survey between the Online Professional Education Association and Straightline, 76% of their more than 1,100 respondents who had some college experience but no credential said micro-credentials that indicate knowledge and skills and that can stack towards larger credentials would increase their interest in continuing to pursue an undergraduate degree. So helping learners to be able to articulate their skills, through verifiable digital means like open badges or certificates and certifications is a focus area for us, as well as how AI could help institutions with the design and the creation of these digital representations of achievement, much like Justin spoke to earlier in reference to the AI design assistant for course creation, right? Anytime I'm talking about student success and career readiness, I like to point to this 2021 Strata Education Outcome Survey, which highlights the relationship between the number of connections that students had with their institution related to career preparation and the likelihood that as an outcome, they felt they achieved their goals, that their education was worth the cost, and they were earning an income over 40K. So I really like this study as it drives home not only the effectiveness of our efforts to help prepare learners for their career, but I think it challenges us to think of ways that we can continue to increase the number of these interactive points, right, and opportunities. So just through some of the outcomes of the processes that we've discussed so far here today, we'd be creating different opportunities to connect with learners, whether it be from an advising capacity or micro-credentials reflecting incremental skill and knowledge that are being developed as learners are progressing through your programs of study. An AI-driven personalized career coach, right, could provide career guidance based on individual skill interests, skills, and goals, and it could recommend paths and suggest relevant courses, provide insight on job market trends based on the earlier referenced student success and career preparation study that we at Anthology did last year. We know students are interested in engaging with such a solution. So as I get to the end of my last couple of slides here in today's presentation, I wanted to share just a bit of our vision around how we see some of the concepts we've discussed today surfacing within applications to help learner progress, right, through their higher education journey and focus on achieving their career goals. At Anthology, we make up the largest ecosystem of EdTech solutions, and we're focused on how the achievement data that's captured within this ecosystem can be used to the learner's benefit from a career readiness standpoint. Our Achievement Studio platform, which you see here, serves as the learner-centric hub for aggregated achievement, career goal setting, and progress tracking. And we've joined our workforce analytics solution, Education Insight, with Achievement Studio to give learners a personalized experience as it relates to tying their achievements to real-time market demand for skills. Historically, Achievement Studio has had access to the open badges that are awarded via our milestone solution, which can carry with them the skills that students gained by virtue of completing the criteria needed to earn the badge. Skills that the institution, perhaps assisted by AI at some point in the future, right, have verified as an outcome of earning the badge. As part of our Skills Intelligent Experience initiative, we are taking this platform from a place of mostly skill reflection to a place of skill alignment and action from a career readiness standpoint. So what you're seeing depicted here is the current version of the skills interface within Achievement Studio, where we can see that a learner is gaining a deeper understanding of their skills and how they're contextualized in the labor market. The example here is centered around a learner who aims to become a software developer and how the skills that they've gained thus far align to this career goal. The example skill of software engineering seen with the expanded detail here helps the learner understand its demand in the labor market based on what percentage of employer postings for a software developer are looking for the skill. So no surprise here that the demand is high at 98%, right? If we move down into the skill details, the learner can review a narrative description of the skill. They can get an understanding of how it's expressed in the labor market. And additionally, we want to help learners understand the potential of the skill set that they've gained by surfacing other jobs in the market that are seeking those same skills, right? So, and lastly, within the skills detail section, we can see that the learner's evidence of the skill is being reflected. So currently, earned badges, uploaded work items, endorsements within the platform are represented here within the skill details. And then finally on the right, the system is helping the learner sift through the vast labor market data of jobs and skills that we're sourcing from our partner Lycas, and we're surfacing jobs that align well to their skill set based on those skills employers are seeking for these positions, right? So this is an intelligent way to aid learners' exploration and understanding of how their skill set can be applied in the market. And as we continue our evolution of this intelligent experience, we will be tapping into the broader Anthology ecosystem to gather additional points of skill exposure. So if you take a closer look at the mock-up here, you can see that the skill evidence space towards the bottom of the expanded skill details has now grown beyond just badges, work items, and endorsements. It now includes organization memberships, co-curricular event attendance, skills gleaned as outcomes from courses that they successfully completed, right? So Within the ecosystem, we'll be looking to our student information system, Anthology Student, as well as our learning management system, Blackboard Learn, to provide information around academic performance, right? So through this, we can glean information about students' progression through programs of study, individual courses, skills outcomes of those courses, take into consideration certainly the performance in those courses, and also some of the detailed data points that exist in these source systems, like the syllabus, right, that's been constructed for a course, learning outcomes, performance of students on individual work items or tests, right, that are within those courses. Additionally, through our co-curricular management platform, Engage, we'll be looking to capture learner exposure to skills as represented by their engagement in organizations and roles that they've held on campus. And finally, I wanted to share our vision for a learner journey record that's not only amasses skill, knowledge, and sentiment information collected for a student over time, but also infuses some of the core elements of leveraging AI as a career readiness assistant. And so with access to learner achievement data, over time, a generative AI chatbot could help a learner distill this data into meaningful readiness metrics that take into account academic program progress, exposure in the field, their own personal skill alignment. AI can also serve as a skill gap analysis tool, as referenced earlier, for learners, right? Helping them understand what skills they still need to develop to meet their career objectives and what pathway opportunities exist in order for them to gain those skills. So we're continuing to explore ways that AI can help improve the cohesion between learners, institutions, and employers. And we hope that these initiatives, as well as yours, whether or not you use our solutions or not, right, will ultimately help support learners in their career objectives. And I'd encourage you to reach out to us if you're willing to share your feedback on some of the challenges and the problems that you're facing with regards to career readiness, and ways that you're either already using AI to assist in meeting these challenges, or you're just in that phase of thinking about ways that it could be leveraged at some point in the future. Would love to engage with you and hear your feedback. So at that point, that concludes the presentation for today. So on behalf of myself and Justin, I certainly would like to thank you for joining, and I will look in the chat. I don't see any questions coming through in the chat yet, but would open up the floor too if anyone has any questions, as Justin mentioned earlier. We've got, I think, about 5 minutes left in the session.
Yeah, I don't see anything, but definitely if anyone has any questions for Justin or Tony, please, you can open your mic and ask, or you can definitely put it into the chat while people are thinking. Tony, if I can, or whoever is sharing, can I share back?
Yes.
So I definitely want to thank Justin and Tony for joining us today. Lots of information. I'm still digesting a lot of what y'all are talking about, but definitely want to thank y'all both for your expertise in both AI and career readiness. It was, like I said, great information. Just still put it in my mind.
Yeah, it can be like a fire hose of information. So thank you for your patience and for taking the time to listen to us. It was a pleasure for us to share with you today.
Well, definitely want to remind everyone that tomorrow we have another one from 9 to 10 Central. It's empowering career. I did not change that slide. It is, I'm trying to think it's sharing your expertise, like doing presentations at the conference. Sorry, I forgot to change that one. But again, you can always sign up with us or look at other webinars that we have going on by going to TxDLA.org and clicking on webinars and bite-sized learning. You can see what's going on. Definitely want to thank our partners. Definitely want to thank Anthology for coming out and doing this presentation for us, and our other partners that we have with Canvas and D2L. Platinum partner is Digital Resources. Silver partner is Panopto Howard Technology Solutions. And bronze is HonorLock, Inside Track, Proctorio, Pronto, Respondus, Science Interactive, and Center for Instructional Innovation and Technology Services at Prairie View A&M. I want to remind you that we are continuing with National Distance Learning Week the rest of this week. We have 2 more days, and hopefully y'all can join us and participate in those. Don't want to forget about our conference. The call for proposals are open until the 11th, so you don't have many more days to do it, but in person is March 25th through the 28th. Virtual is April 16th through the 17th, and we are going to have game on. Definitely would love you to join TxDLA if you are not already a member. Lots of information out there and ways to get involved. Definitely that last one on Friday is all about getting involved with TxDLA, so we would love for you to to join us there. You can also check us out on X, on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and always going to our website at txdla.org. Again, I would like to thank everybody. Whoops, you don't need to see that. Thank everyone for coming out and joining us. And again, thank you, Justin and Tony, for all the wonderful information. And I hope to see y'all in the next couple of days and for future month webinars. Thank you.